Hello, everyone. I'm going to be covering an artist on this channel I've not talked about, I believe, so far. Ellie Goulding, the British artist, who's taken a bit of a break away from pop music and from the mainstream in general for several years. Her last album came out in 2015. And although I haven't covered any of her albums yet on this channel, I always kind of meant to, and then it never ended up happening. And there's just still a lot of other artists that I have on a list that I want to get to first. But I definitely was saying that in my most anticipated for 2019 lists of artists that I'm most excited for. Ellie Goulding was one of them. So she has just released a new single titled Flux, which is the official lead single from her fourth studio album, which is coming sometime soon this year. She released last year a collaboration with Sway Lee and Diplo called Close to Me. I'm not entirely sure if that's actually going to be on this record or not. I don't believe if she's confirmed that or not. It may be, but this is definitely like the solo single I think we were all really waiting for. Close to Me feels a little bit more like a song that was just made for radio and just for promotion, like kind of a buzz single. But it may still end up featuring on the record. But it's not the kind of music I'm really looking to see Ellie create this time around. Her last record, as many of us know, was extremely EDM, extremely pop, extremely carefree, and very for the club. You know, it was an album to party to, and I always kind of hoped that that was going to be just one thing she kind of wanted to package up and get out of her system. That doesn't mean I don't necessarily think she's never going to make dance music again or that she's not well suited for it. But it's not something I want to see only from her going forward. I really want to see some more of that really rich, colorful songwriting, the more lush kind of acoustic piano orchestral elements. I'd like to see some of that, storied elements come back into the emotion. Her second album, Halcyon, is my favorite of hers, and I think it straddles both those worlds pretty well. It has very upbeat, electronic songs, and then it has like slow, very heartfelt piano ballads. And her first record was a lot more alternative, and it was a lot less about creating a hit, and it was more about just exploring and getting ideas out in more creative, kind of interesting ways. And she really painted pictures with her lyrics, and there's just something so mesmerizing about Ellie's voice and the way it can be mixed with electronic production that I just get really excited for the endless possibilities of what she can create. And I just felt like Delirium, her last record, was kind of playing the same note over again and more kind of like, let's just work with as many big producers as we can. Let's make this project feel less personal. Let's make it just kind of this product. And it's sold, and there are songs in there that are great to dance to, and I'm not going to deny that. I think there's some horrible songs on that album as well. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about Flux. I just wanted to give a little bit of backstory and my opinion on her. So Ellie is an artist that I am always going to be really interested to see where she's heading. She's talked about in the last few years how she's creating a much more personal record. She said that this was a song she's had for about 2 years now and is finally putting it out. So it's a very close to her heart kind of song. And what really sells it for me, although her vocals are so rich and so clear and so beautiful, I really find the lyrics to be the most cutting and the most intriguing for me, coming from a state of frustration at a point in Ellie's life, and something that I can relate to as well, and many of us can, where we don't really understand what we're looking for anymore with a relationship or with love or with dating. We, grow up and we think we're going to find the one eventually, and it's going to be, we hear it's not the easiest thing in the world, but we always kind of imagine when we're so young that it's just going to kind of just fall into place eventually, and as you get a little bit older, you start to sort of realize just how tricky the balance really is. And how complex emotions really are, and people and relationships. And when things fall apart, it's very easy to think about the what ifs and to think about feel very conflicted about the kind of direct, okay, I don't want you in my life anymore. Like you constantly might think back and be like, did I make the right decision? And more importantly, why am I still thinking about you? And the line that really cuts home for me is, and I'm still in love with the idea of loving you. It's a state of flux, which is in the chorus that she delivers before she has these beautiful high notes that really show off that bird song like voice of hers. Um, from what I gather from her talking about this song, it was written in a state of confusion, and in a state of frustration at her own emotions and at her own unwillingness to move on from a partner that she knows there's no chance of it progressing with. She knows they're not worth working out and that's not going to happen. But over time, you can create these fantasies and these kind of like romantic illusions in your head that are really hard to tear down. And I really can really vibe with the idea of being stuck on the idea of loving someone rather than actually loving them themselves. I've, in my life so far, only ever really had the idea of loving someone. I've never fully, it's really even tough for me to say, have I even fully experienced what true love is? That's a question that's really hard to ask myself right now because I'm not entirely sure if I really have fully experienced that yet, or if I've just experienced lust or obsession or something that's kind of love, but it's not the full form of it yet. And as she sings, obviously, this state of flux is not enough. Those doubts constantly come creeping in. But ultimately, it's an ultimate cleanse that she is asking for. When the memories pack up and leave, it will set me free. All those days on the beach will be washing away from me. I should be counting my blessings, staying safe in confusion, and maybe I'm learning my lesson. I know you wanted to save me. At the beginning of the song, she sings, "Remember me in a simple way. Not what I did or said. Well, I think of you now. I just think of the day we met." Also, the way that opens is such a honest plea for understanding and empathy for someone. I think when when you had such a tumultuous kind of whirlwind romance with someone, you tend to look back on it and just sort of freak out at what they might have ended up thinking of you at the end of the day. And it's very easy to kind of worry about that. At least I can sense that. I can sense that Ellie's reconciling that. So don't think about the things we said so much. Just think about how we felt at certain times. Because I made mistakes, you made mistakes. Let's not get hung up on that. When I think of you now, I just think of the happy times. It's very easy in hindsight to only remember the positives and to not remember all the negative things that were going on at that point. It's so easy for our brains to do that to us. We only see the negatives as being currently with us, not in the past. The past is always going to look better in some ways, at least in terms. It depends on certain situations. But I stole from myself just to make you complete. That's heavy. Like that's not how a relationship should necessarily work. When you phrase it that way, it definitely comes across as a negative thing. You could say, I gave you a part of myself to help complete you, as you probably would have done for me, because that's what we're trying to do with a relationship. But this implies that it was more one sided. I don't think you have the patience. I don't think you know the difference. And I don't want cute imitations. I know you wanted to save me. So what I'm getting from these lyrics are this back and forth of I want you, I don't want you. I need you, I don't need you. And I think that the song beautifully summarizes these deep kind of things we wish we could say to someone, but we almost never can, particularly someone like an ex. And it really speaks to the kind of tragedy in a way of romance. And I think when we're young, it's so easy to just get like caught up in illusions of romance and illusions of how we think things are supposed to play out because of movies or TV. And really, it feels often like life and love is just a state of flux because the idea of flux is that, nothing is set in stone. Things could go either way. There's always the chance things could go south. And I feel, very much that anxiety often when I approach relationships. I don't know how people handle and manage that. I mean, the idea of life being this precarious balance of possibly going good or bad is just it's something you can't spend too much time thinking about. And maybe I'm almost reading too much into it, but I'm sure that's what she wanted for these lyrics because they are just so inviting into like trying to decipher them. They just leave me really emotional, and I think that is something I've really missed from Ellie's music. I haven't really felt that way from her music since Halcyon, since songs on like Dead in the Water, for example, off that album. So it's just got me very amped up and excited to see a full body of work from her that is so much more close to the heart, a little more introspective, a little bit less about, the beeps and bloops, to put it in a, old-fashioned form, in an old-fashioned way, and more about being at the piano and being at the guitar and just getting thought to paper, and then from paper to music. So this has got me extremely excited. Close to Me was just a palate cleanser. It was just getting the people attention on Ellie again so that she could come back and I think make music that I don't know how well it's going to necessarily sell, but I don't think she cares nearly about, as much about that this time around. And I'm really excited and looking forward to see where she goes next with this. But this song is so hauntingly beautiful and painful, but yet at the same time, it feels so hopeful and optimistic in some ways. And that is, like the title explains, reminiscent of this emotional roller coaster that is love and life. It's happy, sad all the time. And the delicate nostalgia that comes across from her just being at the piano, it's just a really beautiful song. So let me know in the comments what you thought, and I hope this review was enlightening or interesting. I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like I just spout random crap of these song interpretations. I don't know if I go a little too out there. It's like rein me in, rein me in. Um, and talk for too long about them as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like and subscribe if you did. And if I do review another Ellie Goulding record on this channel, I can just warn you it's probably going to be Halcyon, but what I may end up doing is like a top 10 Ellie Goulding songs video where I'll just include songs from all of her records. That's more likely what's probably going to happen in the near, not so near, depending future. I've got like a lot of videos I want to start doing this month. Like for instance, Eurovision is getting underway, and any Eurovision fans out there, I want to make a video. I actually want to make 3 videos because I want to talk about every single song that's being put into Eurovision this year. And that's going to be a lot of video. That's going to be a lot of content. So that's going to be interesting. But I have to wait until all the songs come out, which is kind of painful because I want to start talking about like some of the songs already, but I really want to rank them all once they're all out and talk about them that way. It's really painful. I really want to talk about some of them, but I can't yet. Anyway, stay tuned for that. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.